The 1950s were a transformative era in American automotive history, characterized by bold designs, powerful engines, and an emphasis on style. While many cars from the decade became icons, others earned notoriety for being poorly designed, engineering missteps, or just plain silly. Here are 13 of the worst and dumbest American cars of the 1950s, showcasing the blunders that remind us that not every car is a classic.
Dear viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support.
Number 13. The 1955 Buick Roadmaster was once a flagship of luxury and prestige within the Buick lineup. However, by 1955, the base model Roadmaster struggled to keep up with the evolving automotive landscape. While still a symbol of Buick's mid-century grandeur, the car was criticized for being large, cumbersome, and lacking in significant performance or design innovations compared to its predecessors and competitors. The 1955 Buick Roadmaster retained the traditional Buick styling cues, but the design was seen as uninspired and overly conservative. It failed to keep pace with more modern and streamlined designs from competitors like Cadillac or Chrysler. The car's proportions were large and imposing, but instead of exuding elegance, the Roadmaster's sheer size made it feel awkward and clunky. Its heavy, boxy appearance made it stand out for the wrong reasons, at a time when automotive design was becoming more sleek and futuristic. Buick heavily relied on chrome trim, but the extensive use of chrome in the 1955 Roadmaster felt excessive. This gave the car a garish appearance rather than the refined, sophisticated look it had in earlier models. The base model Roadmaster was equipped with a 322 cubic inch V8 engine, producing 236 horsepower, which on paper seemed impressive. However, due to the vehicle's excessive weight, it struggled to deliver the performance expected of a luxury car in 1955. Despite its powerful engine, the Roadmaster's substantial weight, over 4,500 pounds, hampered acceleration. The car felt slow and unresponsive, particularly in comparison to lighter and more agile competitors. The Roadmaster was also notorious for poor fuel efficiency. As one of the larger and heavier cars of the era, it guzzled gas at a rate that many found impractical, especially as more consumers began considering fuel economy. The 1955 Roadmaster was difficult to handle due to its sheer size and weight. It wasn't nimble or responsive, making it a challenge to maneuver, especially in city driving. The car was designed for straight-line cruising, but even then, it often felt unwieldy. Buick attempted to provide a smooth ride with its coil spring suspension system, but this came at the cost of handling. The car's suspension made it feel floaty and disconnected from the road, which didn't inspire confidence in drivers. Given the Roadmaster's weight, its braking system was often seen as inadequate. The car required more distance to come to a stop, which contributed to its overall reputation for poor drivability. The interior of the Roadmaster was spacious and fitted with high-quality materials, as expected from a luxury car. However, the overall design felt dated, lacking the modern touches that were becoming more common in mid-1950s luxury cars. The Roadmaster offered little in terms of cutting-edge features. While competitors were starting to incorporate power windows, advanced climate control systems, and innovative dashboard designs, the Roadmaster lagged behind. Some drivers found the interior layout to be awkward, with controls that were not conveniently placed. The design didn't focus enough on driver comfort or ease of use. Buick was known for building solid, durable cars, but in 1955, the Roadmaster's weight became more of a liability than a benefit. Its overbuilt structure made it less agile, and many of its parts were more focused on bulk rather than precision engineering. The car's weight and complexity also made it difficult and expensive to maintain. Routine repairs were more costly, and many found it harder to keep the car in good condition compared to more reliable and straightforward models from other brands. Although Buick's reputation for reliability was still strong, the 1955 Roadmaster did have its share of issues. Electrical problems, along with wear and tear from its size and weight, contributed to its declining popularity among buyers. The 1955 Buick Roadmaster faced stiff competition from other luxury brands like Cadillac, Lincoln, and Chrysler. Its heavy, sluggish nature and lack of innovation left it vulnerable in a market that was increasingly valuing performance, style, and technological advancements. While the Roadmaster had a storied legacy, by 1955, it was starting to feel outdated compared to its rivals. Cadillac, in particular, was setting new standards in luxury and performance, leaving the Roadmaster in its shadow. The 1955 Buick Roadmaster base model was a large, bulky, and outdated luxury sedan that failed to adapt to the changing tastes and expectations of the mid-1950s. Its styling was uninspired, and while it boasted a powerful engine, its excessive weight negated any real performance benefits. The car's poor handling, sluggish acceleration, and fuel inefficiency made it a difficult sell in an increasingly competitive market. Although Buick had a reputation for quality, the 1955 Roadmaster was a far cry from the innovative and luxurious models that had defined the brand in earlier years. Number 12. The 1955 Nash Rambler Cross Country was Nash's attempt at producing a compact station wagon for the American market. Although Nash was known for innovation and unique designs, the Rambler Cross Country fell short in several key areas, particularly in performance, styling, and technology. In a time when cars were getting bigger, faster, and more powerful, the Rambler Cross Country seemed outdated and out of touch with the consumer demands of the mid-1950s. Nash Rambler Cross Country had a distinctly boxy appearance, which was in stark contrast to the more streamlined and futuristic designs that were becoming popular during the 1950s. While station wagons naturally leaned toward a more utilitarian design, the Cross Country was particularly lacking in any sense of flair or innovation. The car retained Nash's traditional upright stance, but instead of appearing modern, it came off as overly conservative. It didn't capture the optimism or the forward-thinking styling that other automakers like Chevrolet and Ford were embracing during the era. The exterior design was practical and focused on function rather than form. While this might have appealed to a small segment of the market, the car's lack of visual appeal meant that it wasn't a strong competitor in a field where style was becoming increasingly important to consumers. The 1955 Nash Rambler Cross Country was equipped with a 195.6 cubic inch inline-six engine that produced around 90 horsepower. This engine was significantly underpowered for a station wagon, especially compared to its rivals, which were offering larger and more powerful V8 engines. The Rambler's engine struggled to deliver adequate performance, particularly when the car was fully loaded with passengers or cargo. Its acceleration was sluggish, and it was not well suited for highway driving, which was becoming more critical during the mid-1950s as the interstate highway system began to take shape. With its modest power output, the Rambler Cross Country was not capable of reaching the higher speeds that many other vehicles of the time could achieve. This made it less appealing for families who were looking for cars that could handle longer trips and higher speed travel. The Cross Country's ride was rough and unrefined. While the compact size made it easier to maneuver in city environments, it lacked the smoothness and comfort that larger station wagons and sedans were offering at the time. The car's suspension system was basic, and although it was serviceable for everyday driving, it wasn't sophisticated enough to provide the level of comfort that buyers were beginning to expect from family-oriented vehicles. It felt utilitarian, but not in a way that would entice buyers seeking a refined driving experience. While the Rambler Cross Country was easier to park and navigate in tight spaces than larger vehicles, its handling wasn't particularly impressive. It felt top-heavy and unsteady in sharp turns or at higher speeds, further detracting from its appeal. The interior of the Nash Rambler Cross Country reflected its no-frills approach. It had a functional layout, but it lacked the luxury touches and amenities that were becoming more common in family cars during the 1950s. In an era where cars were beginning to feature more advanced technology, the Rambler Cross Country was missing many of the features that buyers were starting to expect. There were no power windows, air conditioning, or advanced dashboard features, leaving the interior feeling outdated. Although it was a station wagon, the compact nature of the Rambler meant that interior space was somewhat limited, especially compared to the larger full-size wagons available from other manufacturers. This made it less practical for families who needed a true hauler for long trips or large loads of cargo. While Nash vehicles were generally well-built, the Rambler Cross Country was known for being somewhat utilitarian in its construction. It was built to be durable, but lacked the refinement that more premium cars of the era possessed. Like many underpowered cars of its time, the Rambler Cross Country struggled with long-term reliability. Its engine and transmission were not particularly robust, and many owners reported mechanical issues that diminished the car's appeal over time. The 1955 Nash Rambler Cross Country was a compact station wagon that failed to capture the imagination of American buyers. It was underpowered, outdated, and lacked the technological advancements and design flair of its competitors. While it was affordable and functional, these qualities were not enough to make it a standout in a market that was rapidly moving toward more powerful and stylish vehicles. The Cross Country ultimately represented a conservative approach at a time when the automotive industry was embracing innovation, making it a forgettable entry in Nash's lineup. Number 11. The 1955 Cadillac Fleetwood 60 Special was a luxury sedan that embodied Cadillac's reputation for elegance and grandeur. However, despite its impressive appearance and features, the car suffered from significant drawbacks, particularly in terms of its excessive weight, subpar ride quality, and costly maintenance. As one of Cadillac's premier models, it was expected to deliver both luxury and performance, but it fell short in several areas that left some buyers disappointed. The 1955 Fleetwood 60 Special had an imposing presence with its large, heavy body and classic Cadillac styling. It featured bold lines, a long hood, and chrome accents that reflected the luxury aesthetic of the era. However, this design also contributed to one of its key weaknesses: excessive weight. At over 4,600 pounds, the Fleetwood 60 Special was one of the heaviest sedans on the market. While this added to its sense of luxury and durability, it also made the car feel cumbersome and difficult to maneuver. While the design was unmistakably Cadillac, it was starting to feel dated by 1955. Competitors were moving toward more streamlined and futuristic designs, but the Fleetwood retained a more conservative, old-fashioned look that didn't resonate with all buyers. Despite having a large 331 cubic-inch V8 engine producing 250 horsepower, the Fleetwood 60 Special struggled to deliver the level of performance expected from such a massive vehicle. The car's hefty weight made acceleration sluggish. While the V8 engine was powerful on paper, the Fleetwood's size and weight meant that it lacked the quickness and agility that many buyers were beginning to demand from luxury vehicles. Handling was another major issue for the Fleetwood 60 Special. The car's suspension wasn't able to fully cope with the weight, resulting in a bumpy and uncomfortable ride for passengers. The car felt unwieldy in turns, and its size made it difficult to drive in urban environments or on winding roads. Like most large luxury cars of the 1950s, the Fleetwood 60 Special was a gas guzzler. Its poor fuel economy was expected for the time, but in an era when consumers were becoming more aware of costs, this added to the car's drawbacks. One of the biggest complaints about the Fleetwood 60 Special was its ride quality. Despite its luxury aspirations, the car's suspension struggled to provide a smooth experience for passengers. The coil spring suspension system was simply not robust enough to handle the car's enormous weight, leading to a rough and often uncomfortable ride. While the suspension worked adequately on smooth, straight roads, it faltered on rougher surfaces or when the car encountered any significant bumps. This led to a jarring experience that felt out of place in a luxury vehicle. Due to its size and weight, the Fleetwood 60 Special had a tendency to feel floaty at higher speeds. This lack of stability detracted from its luxury appeal, as buyers expected a controlled, refined ride from a car of this stature. The interior of the Fleetwood 60 Special was opulent and luxurious, as was expected from Cadillac. The car featured plush leather seats, power windows, and numerous chrome details that added to its upscale feel. The Fleetwood's interior was spacious, but it also added to the car's overall weight. The heavy materials used for the seats, trim, and dashboard contributed to the car's poor performance and ride quality. While the seats were comfortable and the cabin was well appointed, these luxurious touches didn't make up for the car's other shortcomings. Passengers often complained about the ride quality, and the interior couldn't entirely mask the discomfort of driving on rough roads. The 1955 Fleetwood 60 Special was notorious for its high maintenance costs. Given the car's complexity and the premium nature of its parts, repairs and upkeep were often expensive. Owners of the Fleetwood 60 Special frequently reported mechanical issues, particularly with the suspension and drivetrain. These problems were often costly to fix, and the car's overall reliability was questionable. Another common issue with the Fleetwood was rust. While it was typical for cars of the 1950s to have rust problems, the Fleetwood's large body made it more prone to rusting, especially in regions with harsh winters. The 1955 Cadillac Fleetwood 60 Special was a luxurious yet flawed vehicle that struggled under the weight of its own excess. While it boasted a powerful V8 engine and an opulent interior, the car's excessive weight and poor suspension led to an uncomfortable, bumpy ride that didn't match its luxury reputation. Furthermore, the Fleetwood's maintenance costs were prohibitively high, and it lagged behind its competitors in terms of performance and handling. Though it still had Cadillac's prestige behind it, the Fleetwood 60 Special failed to deliver the refinement and driving experience that buyers in the mid-1950s expected from a top-tier luxury sedan. Number 10. The 1955 Ford Courier was a car-based delivery vehicle, marketed primarily for light commercial use. Its compact design made it suitable for city deliveries, but unfortunately it was plagued by several issues that diminished its appeal. With poor build quality, an underpowered engine, and a lack of features, the Courier failed to make a significant impact in the growing commercial vehicle market of the 1950s. The Ford Courier was essentially a stripped-down version of a standard passenger car. Modified for delivery purposes, it featured a two-door station wagon design, but instead of rear seats, it had a cargo area to accommodate goods. While this design was practical in theory, its execution left much to be desired. Although the Courier was designed to be a delivery vehicle, its cargo space was limited compared to larger, purpose-built delivery trucks or vans. This made it less practical for businesses that needed to transport larger items or more substantial loads. The Courier's design was utilitarian, with little focus on comfort or aesthetics. It lacked the refinement of Ford's passenger cars, making it a bare-bones vehicle meant solely for practical purposes. The 1955 Courier was equipped with a straight-six engine, which was significantly underpowered for a vehicle meant to carry heavy loads. The engine struggled to provide sufficient power, especially when the vehicle was fully loaded with cargo. The Courier's engine, producing around 120 horsepower, made acceleration sluggish and unresponsive, particularly when compared to larger, more capable commercial vehicles. It had trouble maintaining speed on highways, especially when loaded, which limited its practicality for longer distance deliveries. Despite its underpowered engine, the Courier's fuel efficiency wasn't impressive. Commercial users found that it consumed a fair amount of fuel for a vehicle its size, making it less cost-effective for businesses seeking a fuel-efficient option. The Ford Courier's suspension was basic and unrefined, designed to handle heavier loads rather than providing a smooth ride. When driven empty, the suspension felt stiff, and the vehicle's handling suffered as a result. Due to its small size and basic suspension system, the Courier wasn't well suited for carrying larger loads. When fully loaded, the vehicle felt unstable, and handling became difficult, especially at higher speeds or on rough roads. The Courier's braking system wasn't particularly well suited for commercial use, leading to concerns about stopping power when the vehicle was fully loaded. This compromised its safety and reliability as a delivery vehicle. One of the biggest complaints about the 1955 Courier was its poor build quality. The vehicle's body was prone to rust, especially in regions with harsh weather conditions. Many users found that the Courier's durability didn't live up to expectations for a commercial vehicle, where long-term reliability and toughness were key. Ford cut corners on materials for the Courier, using thinner, lower-quality metal for the body panels, which contributed to its tendency to rust. The interior was similarly basic, with cheap, unrefined materials that showed wear and tear quickly. Over time, the Courier developed a reputation for being unreliable, with frequent mechanical issues and a high cost of maintenance. This hurt its standing in the commercial vehicle market, where reliability was paramount. The Courier's interior was extremely basic, designed more for utility than comfort. It had a simple dashboard with minimal features, and the seats were basic, offering little comfort for drivers who spent long hours on the road. By 1955, cars were starting to feature more conveniences, but the Courier lagged behind. It had no significant interior amenities or technological advancements, making it feel outdated even for its time. The Courier wasn't designed with driver comfort in mind. The seats were hard, and the lack of amenities made long drives uncomfortable, particularly for commercial users who spent a lot of time behind the wheel. In the 1950s, the market for light commercial vehicles was growing, with competition from both domestic and international brands. Unfortunately, the Courier didn't stand out in this crowded market. It was outclassed by more capable competitors, such as larger vans and trucks that offered more space, power, and durability. The Courier's narrow focus on light, city-based deliveries limited its market. Businesses that needed more versatility, power, or cargo space turned to larger trucks or more capable delivery vans, leaving the Courier with a shrinking customer base. As a result of its numerous flaws, the 1955 Ford Courier didn't sell well. Buyers preferred more robust and reliable options that could handle the rigors of commercial use, and the Courier quickly became overshadowed by more successful models. Number 9. The 1955 Mercury Montclair Sun Valley was a unique variant of Mercury's Montclair lineup, known for its distinctive transparent plexiglass roof panel over the front seats. While this design feature was innovative and eye-catching, it led to significant drawbacks, particularly in hot and sunny climates. The Sun Valley's transparent roof caused the interior to overheat, making the cabin uncomfortable for occupants. Beyond this novelty, the Sun Valley was underwhelming in terms of performance and overall features, which led to its limited appeal. The standout feature of the Montclair Sun Valley was its large, green-tinted plexiglass roof panel over the front seats. This design allowed for an open, airy feel in the cabin, similar to that of a convertible, but without fully retracting the roof. However, the transparency of the roof quickly became more of a liability than a selling point. While the tinted roof was meant to reduce the intensity of sunlight, it wasn't effective enough in warm climates. The transparent panel allowed the sun to heat up the car's interior, leading to uncomfortably high cabin temperatures. This was particularly problematic in regions with intense sun, where the greenhouse effect turned the cabin into an oven, making it unpleasant for occupants. The Sun Valley's transparent roof was initially a novel idea, but the appeal wore off quickly for most buyers. Many owners found themselves using sunshades or covering the roof, negating the car's intended open-air feel. As a result, the novelty wasn't enough to sustain long-term interest. The 1955 Mercury Montclair, including the Sun Valley, came equipped with a 292 cubic-inch V8 engine that produced around 188 horsepower. While this was sufficient for casual driving, it didn't offer the kind of performance that would excite buyers looking for a powerful, engaging driving experience. The Sun Valley's relatively large and heavy body, combined with its average power output, led to sluggish acceleration. It lacked the performance punch that many buyers expected from a premium model, making it feel slow compared to more nimble competitors. Like many cars of the 1950s, the Montclair Sun Valley was large and not particularly nimble. Its size and weight made handling cumbersome, especially on curvy roads or in tight spaces. The steering was vague and the suspension was soft, which didn't contribute to an engaging or confident driving experience. Despite being positioned as an upscale model, the Montclair Sun Valley's interior was fairly basic, with little to distinguish it from other cars in its class. While it had the usual chrome accents and bench seats typical of the 1950s, there was nothing truly luxurious about the cabin. Compared to competitors like Cadillac or even some higher-end Oldsmobile models, the Sun Valley lacked advanced features. There were no significant innovations inside the car, leaving it feeling somewhat dated and lacking the premium touch expected from Mercury's higher-end offerings. The aforementioned overheating issue significantly impacted passenger comfort, The car's air conditioning systems, if equipped, struggled to keep up with the heat generated by the transparent roof, leading to an uncomfortable driving experience in hot weather. In areas with significant sun exposure, this proved to be a deal-breaker for many potential buyers. While the Montclair's overall styling was typical of the mid-1950s, with its sweeping chrome and bold lines, it didn't stand out as much as Mercury might have hoped. The Sun Valley variant's transparent roof was its only true design distinction, but even that couldn't compensate for its otherwise average styling. By 1955, automotive design was advancing rapidly, and competitors were releasing models with sleeker, more futuristic designs. The Montclair Sun Valley styling didn't capture the imagination of buyers in the same way, leaving it feeling somewhat outdated despite its modern roof design. The 1955 Mercury Montclair Sun Valley had a narrow target market. The transparent roof, while innovative, didn't have mass appeal. Many buyers were turned off by the idea of driving a car that could become uncomfortably hot in sunny conditions. This limited the car's marketability, particularly in warmer regions of the United States, where the design flaw became most apparent. Sales of the Sun Valley were underwhelming, and the model was discontinued soon after. The transparent roof was more of a marketing gimmick than a practical feature, and as the novelty wore off, so did buyer interest. Mercury soon realized that the Sun Valley didn't offer enough substance to compensate for its flaws, and the model was dropped from the lineup. The 1955 Mercury Montclair Sun Valley was a car that prioritized novelty over practicality. Its transparent roof design, while interesting, led to overheating issues that severely compromised comfort in warm climates. Number 8. The 1955 Mercury Park Lane was introduced as Mercury's high-end luxury offering. Intended to compete with upscale models from brands like Cadillac and Chrysler, the Park Lane was designed to showcase Mercury's best in terms of style and comfort. However, it fell short in several key areas, including performance, weight, and overall excitement. Despite its upscale positioning, the Park Lane struggled to deliver the luxury experience that buyers expected, leaving it a disappointment in the premium car market. The 1955 Park Lane styling was relatively conservative for a luxury car. While it featured the obligatory 1950s chrome accents and flashy details, it lacked the cutting-edge, bold designs that many competitors were offering. The design didn't stand out in a market filled with cars pushing the boundaries of automotive fashion, like those from Cadillac, Chrysler, or even Buick. The Park Lane's design was more refined than Mercury's lower-tier models, but it didn't excite buyers looking for something that screamed luxury and exclusivity. It had a bulky, heavy appearance, with proportions that felt outdated when compared to sleeker, more streamlined cars being released at the time. The Park Lane's overall look leaned too heavily on traditional 1950s styling, which included heavy chrome use, two-tone paint schemes, and large tail fins. While these elements were popular, the car didn't push any boundaries or create a lasting impression. One of the biggest criticisms of the 1955 Mercury Park Lane was its weight. It was a large, heavy car, tipping the scales at a point where its performance didn't match its size. This made the Park Lane feel sluggish and underpowered, especially when compared to other luxury sedans on the market. The Park Lane was equipped with a 292 cubic inch V8 engine, delivering around 188 horsepower. While this was a respectable power output, it wasn't enough to effectively move the car's large body, resulting in slow acceleration and unremarkable performance. The car's heavy weight also impacted its handling. It felt cumbersome on the road, especially in tight corners or at higher speeds. The soft suspension that was meant to provide a comfortable ride instead made the Park Lane feel disconnected from the road, resulting in vague steering and poor road feedback. The interior of the Park Lane was upscale, but it didn't offer any revolutionary or standout features. The car included bench seating, chrome accents, and the expected array of amenities for a luxury car, but there was nothing particularly advanced or impressive about the cabin. For a car positioned as Mercury's high-end model, the Park Lane's interior felt basic when compared to what competitors were offering. While it had more comfort features than lower-tier Mercury models, it lacked the sophistication or advanced technology that buyers in the luxury segment expected. The Park Lane's ride was soft and comfortable for passengers, but its suspension contributed to the car's disconnected driving experience. While it provided a cushioned ride, it also made the car feel floaty and unstable, particularly on rough roads or at high speeds. One of the main reasons the Park Lane didn't succeed was that it didn't differentiate itself enough from Mercury's lower-tier offerings or from other premium cars. It was meant to offer more luxury, but the actual experience didn't live up to expectations. The heavy weight and lack of excitement in the design meant that it was outclassed by competitors like Cadillac's Series 62 and Chrysler's New Yorker. The Park Lane was expensive compared to Mercury's other models, but it didn't offer a noticeable leap in luxury or performance to justify the higher price tag. Buyers expected more from a high-end car, especially when paying premium prices. As a result, many opted for competitors that delivered more for their money. The 1955 Mercury Park Lane was an ambitious attempt to break into the luxury market, but it ultimately fell short. Its heavy-weight, underpowered engine and uninspired design didn't give buyers the premium experience they were looking for. As a result, the car has faded into obscurity, remembered more for what it failed to achieve than for any lasting impact on the automotive world. The 1955 Mercury Park Lane was intended to be a statement of luxury for Mercury, but it missed the mark. Its conservative styling, combined with its overly heavy and underpowered design, made it feel out of place in a market where buyers were looking for excitement, innovation, and performance. While it wasn't a terrible car, it failed to live up to its luxury promise, and as a result, it was overshadowed by more refined competitors. Number 7. The 1956 Ford Thunderbird, part of the first generation of this iconic model, is often celebrated for its styling and position as one of the early American personal luxury cars. However, despite its enduring legacy, the Thunderbird's first iteration was far from perfect. While it was marketed as a rival to Chevrolet's Corvette, it lacked the true performance and handling of a sports car. Instead, it was heavier, more focused on comfort, and compromised in ways that left many enthusiasts and sports car buyers disappointed. The Thunderbird's design was one of its strongest features, with sleek, two-seater styling that gave it a sporty and modern look. It featured classic 1950s design cues, such as chrome accents, a long hood, and a low stance. However, while it looked sporty, it didn't live up to its appearance when it came to performance. Buyers who expected the Thunderbird to be a true sports car, akin to the Corvette, were let down by its heavy weight and lack of agility. Despite its sporty looks, the Thunderbird was heavy for its size. Weighing in at around 3,300 pounds, it was too bulky to deliver the nimble handling that buyers expected from a car in this category. The extra weight made it feel more like a cruiser than a performance machine, blurring the lines between luxury and sport without excelling at either. Although the Thunderbird was equipped with a 292 cubic inch V8 engine producing around 200 horsepower, this power wasn't enough to make up for the car's heavy body. Acceleration was adequate but not thrilling, and it didn't provide the sharp, responsive driving experience that sports car buyers desired. The Thunderbird's weight also contributed to poor handling. It didn't have the agility or road feel of a true sports car, making it less fun to drive on twisty roads or at higher speeds. The soft suspension, designed for comfort, further reduced its cornering ability and responsiveness, making it feel more like a luxury cruiser than a nimble performance car. Buyers who were attracted to the Thunderbird for its looks and expected a sports car were disappointed by its driving dynamics. It felt sluggish in corners, and the steering was far from precise. Enthusiasts who had hoped for a car that could rival European sports cars or even the Corvette were left unsatisfied. One of the key criticisms of the first-generation Thunderbird was that it prioritized comfort and luxury features over sports car performance. Ford equipped the Thunderbird with features like power seats and windows, which were rare for a car in this category. These luxuries added to its appeal as a personal luxury car, but also contributed to its weight and detracted from its sportiness. This focus on comfort over performance meant it didn't quite fit the expectations of either market segment. The Thunderbird didn't fully commit to being a luxury car or a sports car, which left it in an awkward middle ground. It wasn't sporty enough to satisfy performance enthusiasts, and it didn't have the refinement or space of a traditional luxury car. This confusion about what the car was supposed to be hurt its appeal to both types of buyers. While the Thunderbird sold relatively well due to its unique styling and luxury features, it didn't receive universal acclaim from those who expected more in terms of performance. The car's positioning as a personal luxury car was somewhat novel, but it wasn't enough to win over enthusiasts who had hoped for a true sports car experience. In comparison to the Corvette, which was lighter and more focused on performance, the Thunderbird felt out of place in the sports car market. The Corvette's sharper handling and lighter weight made it the more appealing option for buyers looking for a performance vehicle, leaving the Thunderbird to be seen more as a stylish, comfortable car rather than a serious competitor. The first-generation Thunderbird is remembered for its role in establishing the personal luxury car segment, but it also represents a missed opportunity. Ford could have positioned it as a more direct competitor to the Corvette and other sports cars of the era, but instead chose to prioritize luxury and comfort. While this decision may have helped sales at the time, it also alienated those looking for a car that was as sporty as it looked. In later years, Ford would continue to refine the Thunderbird, but the first generation remains a reminder of the brand's initial hesitation to fully embrace the sports car identity. The car's success in subsequent years owes much to its evolving identity, but the 1955 to 1956 version stands as a somewhat flawed first attempt. The 1956 Ford Thunderbird was a stylish and comfortable car that missed the mark for buyers who wanted a true sports car. Its heavy weight, soft suspension, and underwhelming handling left it feeling more like a luxury cruiser than the performance machine its looks suggested. Number 6. The 1957 Dodge Coronet was a full-size sedan that epitomized the design and performance issues prevalent in many American cars of the late 1950s. While it was part of a broader trend toward larger vehicles, the Coronet struggled to make a mark due to its uninspired styling, lackluster performance, and reliability issues, ultimately leaving a less than stellar impression on consumers. The Coronet's design reflected the trends of the time, but it failed to stand out in a crowded market. Its boxy silhouette lacked the flair and charisma that many of its competitors were embracing, making it feel dated even upon release. With its flat surfaces and generic proportions, the Coronet blended in rather than commanding attention. In a time when car design was beginning to embrace more dynamic shapes and vibrant aesthetics, the Coronet felt like an afterthought, unable to attract buyers looking for style. The Coronet was equipped with a range of engine options, but many buyers found them to be underwhelming. The base models often featured weak engines that struggled to deliver adequate power for a full-size sedan, resulting in sluggish acceleration and lackluster driving dynamics. This underpowered performance was particularly disappointing for consumers expecting a more spirited driving experience. The Coronet failed to offer the thrill and responsiveness that buyers desired, especially in a market that was beginning to emphasize performance alongside comfort. Perhaps one of the most significant shortcomings of the 1957 Dodge Coronet was its reliability. Many owners reported frequent breakdowns and mechanical issues that plagued the model throughout its production. This unreliability tarnished the car's reputation and led to frustration among owners who expected better quality from Dodge. The ongoing reliability problems meant that owners were often faced with unexpected repair bills and downtime, detracting from the overall ownership experience. This lack of dependability was a key factor in the Coronet's poor reception and contributed to its reputation as a problematic vehicle. The 1957 Coronet was released during a time of intense competition in the full-size car market. Rivals from GM and Ford were introducing more innovative designs and powerful engines, which put additional pressure on Dodge to deliver a compelling product. The Coronet's uninspired design and lack of performance made it a less attractive option compared to its contemporaries. Many buyers gravitated toward brands that offered a more exciting and reliable driving experience, leaving the Coronet struggling to find its place. The 1957 Dodge Coronet has largely faded from automotive history as a forgettable entry in the full-size sedan segment. While some enthusiasts appreciate its vintage appeal, the combination of its uninspired design, lack of performance, and frequent reliability issues has kept it from becoming a classic. The Coronet serves as a reminder of the importance of innovation and consumer satisfaction in the automotive industry. Brands that fail to adapt to changing consumer preferences and prioritize quality often find themselves left behind, and the Coronet is a prime example of this phenomenon. The 1957 Dodge Coronet represents a missed opportunity for Dodge in the full-size sedan market. Its boxy, uninspired design, underpowered engine options, and frequent reliability issues contributed to its lackluster reputation and sales performance. While the model may hold some nostalgic value, its shortcomings have overshadowed any positive aspects, leaving it as a footnote in automotive history rather than a celebrated classic. Number 5. The 1956 Packard Clipper was emblematic of Packard's struggles during a tumultuous period in the automotive industry. As the brand attempted to reposition itself in the mid-range market, the Clipper fell short of expectations, failing to deliver the luxury and reliability that customers had come to associate with Packard vehicles. The Clipper's styling was uninspired, lacking the distinctive elegance that Packard was known for. It attempted to bridge the gap between luxury and mid-range vehicles, but ended up feeling like a compromise, with a design that failed to make a strong statement. The design elements, including its boxy shape and conservative lines, felt outdated by 1956 standards, failing to attract buyers who were looking for the sleek, modern styling that was becoming popular. One of the most significant drawbacks of the 1956 Clipper was its mechanical unreliability. Owners frequently reported problems with the engine and transmission, leading to frustration and dissatisfaction. The Clipper was also criticized for its underwhelming performance. It lacked the power and responsiveness expected in its price range, which detracted from the driving experience and made it less competitive against rival brands. As Packard attempted to appeal to a broader audience with the Clipper, it compromised on the luxurious features that were synonymous with the brand. The interior quality and materials were subpar compared to previous models, disappointing longtime Packard enthusiasts. Buyers who had previously purchased Packards for their luxury and refinement found the Clipper lacking, leading to a disconnect between the brand's heritage and its new direction. During the mid-1950s, the automotive market was rapidly evolving, with competitors like Cadillac and Lincoln pushing the boundaries of luxury and performance. The Clipper's inability to compete in terms of quality and reliability hindered its success. The combination of mediocre performance, lack of luxury, and mechanical problems contributed to poor sales figures. As buyers turned to more reliable and stylish alternatives, Packard's market share dwindled further. The 1956 Packard Clipper is often viewed as a symbol of Packard's decline during this era. Once a respected luxury automaker, the brand struggled to adapt to changing market demands and ultimately faded from prominence. While some collectors appreciate the Clipper for its historical significance, it remains largely forgotten in the broader automotive narrative. Its shortcomings overshadow any nostalgic value it might hold. The 1956 Packard Clipper represents a pivotal moment in the history of Packard, reflecting the brand's struggles to maintain relevance in a competitive market. With its uninspired design, mechanical unreliability, and failure to deliver the luxury that defined Packard, the Clipper ultimately contributed to the brand's decline. It serves as a cautionary tale of the risks associated with diluting a brand's identity in pursuit of broader market appeal. Number 4. The 1958 Ford Edsel Bermuda was part of Ford's ambitious yet ultimately disastrous attempt to introduce the Edsel line. Aimed at filling the gap between the Ford and Lincoln brands, the Edsel was marketed as a revolutionary vehicle. However, it quickly became synonymous with failure due to a combination of poor design, marketing missteps, and mechanical issues. The Edsel Bermuda's design was controversial, marked by its unique and unconventional styling. The front grille, often compared to a toilet seat, was particularly criticized, and many found the overall look unappealing. The Bermuda attempted to combine elements of luxury with practicality, leading to a mishmash of styles that failed to resonate with consumers. This confusion over its identity contributed to its lack of popularity. Ford's marketing efforts for the Edsel line were misaligned with consumer expectations. The heavy promotion created high hopes that were not met by the actual product. The hype surrounding the Edsel led to disappointment, as many consumers felt the cars did not live up to the extravagant claims. This backlash further tarnished the Bermuda's reputation. The Bermuda faced numerous mechanical problems that plagued the Edsel line as a whole. Reports of poor build quality, engine failures, and transmission issues were common, leading to frustration among owners. Despite being marketed as a family-friendly vehicle, the Bermuda was underpowered for its size, resulting in lackluster performance that disappointed buyers looking for a reliable station wagon. Launched during a recession, the Edsel Bermuda's pricing was seen as excessive compared to competitors. With consumers tightening their budgets, the Bermuda struggled to justify its price point against more established models from rivals. The Bermuda's high initial cost combined with its failure to deliver on promised features made it an easy target for cost-conscious buyers. The 1958 Edsel Bermuda is often cited as one of the biggest flops in automotive history. It represents a perfect storm of poor design, misguided marketing, and mechanical issues that ultimately led to the Edsel line's swift demise. The failure of the Edsel not only tarnished Ford's reputation, but also led to the cancellation of the brand within just 3 years. The Bermuda and its fellow Edsel models serve as cautionary tales about the importance of understanding market demands and maintaining a cohesive brand identity. In summary, the 1958 Ford Edsel Bermuda embodies the missteps of an ambitious but flawed endeavor. Its awkward design, mechanical failings, and ineffective marketing sealed its fate as a memorable automotive failure, marking a significant moment in automotive history. Number 3. The 1958 Ford Ranchero was an early attempt by Ford to combine the attributes of a car and a pickup truck. While the concept of a car-based utility vehicle would eventually find success, the initial version of the Ranchero struggled due to various design and performance shortcomings. The Ranchero's design was often criticized for its lack of coherence. The integration of car and truck elements resulted in a vehicle that appeared awkward and somewhat unbalanced, with a bulky body and an extended cab bed that didn't flow well with the overall shape. Many viewed the Ranchero as unattractive compared to more traditional vehicles in either category. One of the key selling points of the Ranchero was its promise of utility. However, the bed size was insufficient for practical hauling, and the overall design did not provide the functionality expected from a truck. Early versions of the Ranchero were equipped with modest engine options that lacked the necessary power to make the vehicle a viable workhorse, undermining its appeal to potential buyers looking for a capable utility vehicle. The Ranchero struggled to find its place in the market. It was caught between two segments, those seeking a car-like ride and those needing truck capabilities. This ambiguity made it hard for consumers to see the value in the Ranchero compared to existing cars or trucks. Competition with established models, competing against established pickup trucks and sedans, the Ranchero failed to carve out a significant niche in the automotive landscape. Launched during a time when consumers were still heavily favoring traditional vehicles, the Ranchero faced an uphill battle to convince buyers of its benefits. The mid-1950s market was leaning towards more defined categories, making the Ranchero's hybrid nature less appealing. The economic climate also played a role in how consumers viewed the Ranchero. As families prioritized practical vehicles, the Ranchero's ambiguous utility fell flat. The 1958 Ford Ranchero's initial release was met with skepticism, and while it would eventually gain popularity in subsequent years as the utility vehicle concept matured, its early iterations remain a cautionary tale of design and marketing missteps. Later models of the Ranchero would improve upon the concept, offering better utility and performance. But the 1958 version serves as a reminder of how ambitious ideas can falter when not executed effectively. In summary, the 1958 Ford Ranchero represents an interesting idea that failed to resonate at the time due to awkward design, limited utility, and unclear market positioning. Its legacy would evolve, but the early models remain a noteworthy example of a promising concept that struggled in execution. The 1955 Ford Mainline was marketed as an entry-level sedan, designed to attract budget-conscious consumers. However, it ultimately fell short in several key areas, making it an unappealing option in a competitive automotive landscape. The mainline's design was characterized by its plain and utilitarian appearance. Lacking the visual flair of Ford's higher-end models, it failed to capture the interest of buyers looking for something that stood out. The car came with minimal styling details, making it feel more like a utilitarian vehicle than a desirable automobile. Its boxy shape and lack of distinctive lines contributed to its forgettable presence on the road. The mainline was equipped with underpowered engine choices that struggled to deliver the performance expected in the mid-1950s. With engines that were often criticized for their sluggishness, the mainline was unable to compete with more powerful rivals in its class, leading to a lackluster driving experience. While the intention was to provide an affordable option, the mainline's stripped-down nature left it feeling bare bones. Buyers often felt that the low price came at the cost of quality and performance, making it a hard sell. The mainline struggled against competitors that offered better value for money, including models that combined affordability with style and performance. As a result, many potential buyers were drawn to more appealing options. The automotive market in the 1950s was shifting toward vehicles that not only served a functional purpose, but also provided excitement and style. The mainline, with its plainness, fell behind as consumer preferences evolved. In a market filled with models boasting vibrant designs and powerful engines, the mainline appeared lackluster. Competitors from Chevrolet and Plymouth, for example, were delivering cars that appealed more to the emotions of buyers. The 1955 Ford mainline represents a well-intentioned attempt to cater to budget-conscious consumers, but ultimately failed to resonate due to its uninspiring design, lack of performance, and poor market positioning. Its shortcomings contributed to its quick disappearance from the Ford lineup, leaving it largely forgotten in the annals of automotive history. In summary, the 1955 Ford mainline was a basic, budget-friendly car that failed to capture the spirit of its time. Its unremarkable design and inadequate performance made it a poor choice compared to other options, resulting in a model that is often overlooked in discussions of 1950s automobiles. Number 1. The 1956 Mercury Medalist was positioned as an entry-level model aimed at budget-conscious consumers seeking a Mercury vehicle. However, it quickly became evident that the Medalist fell short of expectations in multiple aspects, leading to its reputation as a forgettable offering in the Mercury lineup. The Medalist's design was characterized by its lack of distinctive features. It presented a very generic appearance compared to other cars in the Mercury lineup and lacked the bold styling that was becoming popular in the mid-1950s. With no striking design elements or innovative touches, the Medalist failed to stand out on the road. This made it less attractive to potential buyers, particularly those drawn to more visually engaging vehicles. The Medalist was equipped with engine options that were deemed inadequate in terms of power and performance. The lack of horsepower made for a sluggish driving experience, which was disappointing for a model trying to attract buyers interested in a premium driving experience. Competitors offered more powerful options that better satisfied consumer demands for performance. As a budget model, the Medalist faced stiff competition from other brands that were producing cars with better styling and more powerful engines. With competitors like Chevrolet and Ford providing attractive alternatives, the Medalist struggled to gain traction in a market that favored dynamic styling and engaging performance. In 1956, consumers were increasingly interested in cars that offered both affordability and excitement. The Medalist, with its subdued design and lack of performance, did not align with these evolving expectations. Other Mercury models and rival brands were successfully tapping into the consumer desire for stylish and powerful cars. Leaving the Medalist feeling outdated and out of place, the 1956 Mercury Medalist represents an attempt by Mercury to capture a segment of budget-conscious buyers, but it ultimately fell short due to its bland styling and lackluster performance. Its inability to compete effectively with other cars of its era led to its quick fading from memory. The Medalist has since been overshadowed by more notable models within the Mercury brand and the broader automotive landscape of the time. In summary, the 1956 Mercury Medalist is often remembered as an unremarkable entry in the Mercury lineup, lacking the visual flair and driving excitement that consumers sought during the mid-1950s. Its shortcomings in design and performance contributed to its status as a forgettable model in automotive history.